Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nguyễn Tuan Anh. So, let's begin my speech. Everyone seems to be excited about drama these days. So, let's expose ourselves, 21st century citizens. 50 years into the future, words like Sigma, El Riz, or Skibbity Toilet will look like words that came from recession period of mankind. And this is my friend John, who seems to be enjoying these things too. But 50 years into the future, he'll prop in bed with $0 to his name. But how did this all happen? I'll tell you a bit about John. He works for a large company and he's the top employee, loved by everyone. As time passed though, he was promoted and he is the chairman who will run the business in the future. But pay attention. In this transitional stage, he was introduced to more responsibilities. He had to take care of the staffs, allocate paychecks for his workers, yada yada yada. And all of the work made him become busy. He can't even have time to care for himself or spend his hard-earned money. This is when John got overwhelmed and started indulging in bad habits. He stayed up later, ate more junk foods, and as a result, he got demoted, and another person took his place to run the company. I think the story of John is familiar to everyone in here. We used to be that top student who was an all-rounder and loved by everyone. But as time passed though, we grow up and we're introduced to more responsibilities. It makes us more overwhelmed, and some simple things make us juggle. So as a result, we try to compromise what we patiently achieved in the past in order to juggle with these things, such as a good sleep schedule or a healthy diet. You know, how do we actually prevent this? Now, I'd like you to take a look at John's business model, aka how our brain works. So, to the upper right corner is the customer service team, what you do daily. Next up, it's the research and development team, how to do those things more effectively. And finally, the management team, the computer icon right there, where your actions are stored to become muscle memories later. So, let's see. For example, I feel a bit hungry and I want to eat junk food. The customer service team eats the junk food and then they tell the research and development team to find more optimal solutions to eat the junk food. And finally, after all of that is done, the management team logs it into the database to know what to do next time when I feel a bit hungry. And as you guys can see, it's how we form our muscle memory. And during our transitions in life, when we grow up, when we transfer to a new school, or when we make new friends, our company has database like this. As you can see, it's a mess back there, okay? And the more bad labels you have in your database, the more likely it is for you to do bad things. And it's not that good, is it? We have to know that the reason why people find it so difficult to get rid of these bad labels is that they misunderstand self-care to self-indulgence. Okay, main difference is self-care is short-term and it builds up discipline, while self-indulgence is long-term. And if John is the one who builds up discipline, who is the one that indulges? Inside the mind, there's another person I want to introduce. The Karen. Okay guys, so when John was caught lacking, she was the person who replaced John to become the next chairman. And Karen the villain makes us indulge in bad habits in order to make us weaker and to make her stronger and make John weaker, thereby deteriorating our body. And remember the question that I asked earlier? How do we actually prevent ourselves from feeling too overwhelmed? Well, there's a simple key like this. You have to know that chi is the manifestation of our bad labels. And if we think it's already too late to improve, it will always be late. Okay, feeding the company good inputs over time will gradually change the company and make John stronger and allow him to regain his position. Okay, but how though? I really like this book. If you know yourself and you know your enemies, you need not know the results of 100 battles. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. To change, what you need to do They don't need to be legendary achievements like slaying a dragon or finding a cure to cancer. Sometimes the most basic things can lead to the most significant changes. And from taking a step back in your life and reflecting on your journey, we will have what I call a turning point. For me, my turning point was when I started going on night walks. So, very free will at 2 a.m. I stepped outside, I wore my trusty shoes, and I explored the old quarters of Hanoi. Initially, it was quite frightening, to be honest. The thought of doing something so taboo, it scared me off. And in fact, I got cold feet after 5 minutes, and I already wanted to go home. But to my surprise, I see the normal things you would see, but just in a different light. I see another side of the city, like how I see another side of myself. 17 years. I have lived and done the same things in this place for 17 years repeatedly. So whenever I cross a street I knew, or whenever I remember something that I did at that place, it felt nostalgic, okay? Those were very simple but basic things. I remember the restaurants my father and I dined. I remember the good movies my friends and I watched at that place. And all of them helped me realize one true thing. The things I need in order to change my life, they don't need to be complex. They just need to be basic things. Of course they're basic, but they're good things. The good labels. And these helped me realize the more I grow up and the more responsibilities I am introduced to, it doesn't make me less capable at handling them compared to my past, back when I was at my prime or back when you guys were at your prime. Having completed my first trip, I was filled with pride and determination. Pride that I got from tuning in with some of the most basic things that I accidentally forgot. And the steps I took afterwards were very simple, actually. I started listening to more music artists, I drank more beverages, I tried more food, and I even tried texting my crush out at 2 a.m. Those were basic things, but those are the first steps you need to take in order to regain your strength. Before acing the tests in your high school, before conquering the journey of life, or whatever, you need to make sure that you're steady with every step you take. I hope until now, you're filled with something in your heart for you to change. And in order for that change to occur, what you need is another turning point. So let's make this simple. Let's start off the game with a simple rules. First rule, no sacrifices are needed. You already see the tragedy of juggling with so many things at once, so don't even attempt it. Second rule, be careful. Life will go on whether you want it or not, so better take every step carefully and be mindful about what you do daily. And the final rule is, patience is key. The changes that you have made, the past memories, your achievements, your struggles, everything that makes you, you, will become a part of your weapon for you to win against the game of life. Now, how do you start changing this? It's by, of course, the domino effect. And I heavily emphasize having discipline in the first stages that you try to change your life and retake your position. More good labels require you to have more discipline. And the more discipline you have, the more good labels you can take in. Let's say I want to go to sleep, for example. I want to go to sleep early, and I will set it as my sole target for the next 3 weeks. And after those 3 weeks, if I can complete that trip, then congratulations. Going to bed early is now officially in my company's database, and I can do those things subconsciously. And with that, I can spare my time and energy to do other things, such as lifting or having a good diet. Initially, from just going to sleep, you now have a body that is in shape, a diet, healthy diet, and then you can branch on into another good label. Okay, definitely, we know that sometimes life can get hard, all right? But you're just gonna have to be harder. So, when things get a bit tough, Those disciplines and good labels you get you through the days when you don't want to do certain things or go to certain places. It's important then to remind yourself of the places and the achievements that you have made and make another turning point. That's why I go on a night walk every month or so to refresh myself. I remember how hard I tried to complete my first trip, even though my legs, they were cramping. I remember how I made new friends by introducing them to his hobby. And right now, I even went on a trip with my best friend just the other day. All of them were basic, but it helped me to regain myself. I feel more fulfilled and I can do other things if I know that I can do one thing at a time. And I am not another creature that tells you to buy an online course or learn skills or traits that can dramatically change your life. My speech is advice for you to know exactly what you need to do and to know exactly what happens inside your brain before you do anything. Of course, life can get hard sometimes, right? And in those times, instead of feeling overwhelmed, you're just gonna have to embrace the struggle and then use the strength that you have accumulated in the past to grow. So, aim for the stars and get them without fail. Thank you all for listening.